brand new single. And welcome to the show. Welcome to Talking Country with me, Paul Taylor. And it opened up with a brand new single called Roadblock by Carolyn Dawn Johnson, who's on the line all the way from Canada. How you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. It's so nice to meet you. And what a good single that is.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud of it. It makes me happy. So I'm thinking if it makes me happy, because I'm a lover of music, then maybe it'll make someone else happy too.
It definitely is something that we all need, I think, as well. Something uplifting, and it's got a really good groove and really good vibe about it. And I mean, where was your inspiration from that for that?
Well, when we originally wrote it, it came from the title Roadblocks. So, being the songwriters we are, we tried to use a lot of the language that would go with what Roadblocks was. And we were talking about, roadblocks in life and the deeper meaning of it, not just the straight up driving thing. However, we wanted it to drive. We wanted it to feel inspiring and anthemic. It really kind of almost had a little bit of a bluegrass feel when we first started writing it. Because I remember whipping out the chorus, and then one of my co-writers, Oscar, he put this cool little drum beat groove to it, which made it sound almost kind of funky and retro. And then when I took it into the studio to cut it into the big record, we tried a few different grooves with a drummer, and this is the one we landed on. And there's a part at the very end of the song when I'm like, "Wah, yeah, yeah," and it's like, exciting, and I'm singing these big notes, and that actually happened while we were tracking the song with the band because it was so inspiring when it was going down. We finally landed on the right groove for the song, for the lyric, and when I got near the end, it was just so fun. I'm going to post that at some point, like the little clip of me actually doing it in studio and what it sounded like on the record, because it's the exact same thing. Because I just knew, okay, we got it. We got the right bed track now, and now I can take it home and go work in the studio and sing on it and add my overdubs, etc. So it was a growth metamorphosis from when it started with just the title to the song to the little bluegrassy kind of thing, to the retro thing, to the rockin', like, let's go and conquer the world kind of vibe.
I'm listening to it, and I hope this is all right. But for me to say this, but there's a Sheryl Crow kind of vibe going through it.
Oh, I love that. I'll take it. I love Sheryl Crow, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's definitely got something going on there that I'm listening to. I thought, yeah, I could just see Cheryl like singing that, and but Cheryl's like it's a crossover country kind of vibe as well. But to be honest, and I've said this many times. I mean, my listeners will be sort of fed up of me saying this, but country music is multi-genre now. It is a mixture, a minion. It's no longer three chords and the truth. You've got Americana, you've got bluegrass, you've got traditional, you've got honky tonk, you've got the pop, you've got the rapping kind of thing, and then I always think of something like a coffee shop country, which is you could be in the major coffee shops and hear something in the background, but it would blend in with every other song, but it is country. So it's got a mixture, like a melting pot of different things. So long as you're telling a story, then that's country.
Yeah, I agree. We've got a lot of different sounds in country music these days, and it's always ever evolving, just like any other genre. It's like
Absolutely.
hair bands are no longer, but it morphed into something else. So when it comes to rock music, and same thing with country, I really just went with when I'm cutting a song in the studio with the musicians and I'm singing it. If it makes me happy when I'm singing it as a singer, then I know we've got the right kind
Yeah,
of vibe and feel
yeah.
for it. So I'll play around until it actually hits me and makes me go, that's it, because there's always a lot of different places you can take a song,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then you add the country type lyric, and that kind of brings that thread back to what I guess we would call country music.
I know, and it does make a difference when somebody really feels the music and obviously writes it as well. Because I don't know about you, and I wouldn't name names, but you look at the charts now and you're listening to some things and you're going, that's conveyor belt country. That's something, right? You've had this wrote for you. You need this hit now. We'll push it and we'll get into the top five. There you go. Has it got a tailgate in it? Yep. Has it got whiskey in it? Yeah, we'll go with that. And it's heartless, some of it, I'm thinking now, some of it, and that's just my own opinion, but I do feel that some of the country music out there now is heartless. I think it's just a commercial sort of injection in there into the charts. You know, you see like five songs by the same artist in the top 10, and you're going, whoa, hang on a minute. You know, but when you, like you said, when you feel a song, you tell it a million miles away.
I agree with you on that. I
Yeah.
think so too. I think when it's not just and there's a lot of good conveyor belt songs, I guess you
Yeah.
could say too, for sure. But when it's that little bit step further, I think that you can tell when the artist is really passionate about what they're doing. They're not just putting something out to put something out. And which we're in a world today of putting out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of pressure to put a lot of things out. I'm in a new chapter for me. I've done a lot of things in the past. I'm in a new uh, place where I'm kind of starting from, not from the ground up, because I've already had a wonderful career and still continue to do things, but I'm really starting at a place that I've never been in this social media world the way we are right now when I've launched music. So this is a new thing for me. So this is the first thing that's introducing the rest of my record for me. I'm not making single after single after single to try and keep up with everybody. I'm making an album that really means something to me because I've decided to come back out with some new music. And this particular song has very deep meaning for me. So that's why I put it out there first, because I wanted to let my fans know, hey, you know what? I know I haven't been in the front for a while because a lot of stuff has happened. Lots of things, lots of roadblocks, lots of things that I had to get through before I could find me again to give you some of me in a way that I can share all these other stories with. So it's sort of like a proclamation in a way for me, but also like my own anthem of sorts about personal struggles that I've gone through. And hopefully it will inspire other people to get through the things that they've needed to get through or need to get through right now.
Brilliant, brilliant answer. And what's the first thing that is it the lyric or is it the melody or is it a mixture or a minion of everything?
Yeah, so every song is different. Every song is really different when it comes to that. This one started with a title, and we were talking about what it was going to be, and I just remember me on the guitar starting the chorus. I just started saying, "I got my eye on the prize, unlimited skies." So it was like that led us where it was starting to go. I'm a huge chorus melody person. I like to have a singy chorus of some sort. I don't even necessarily intentionally do it. I think subconsciously I've been writing for so many years. Plus, I listen to radio and music, so subconsciously I want to sing and I want to sing a chorus. And so, if something comes for me right away, I like to follow where it leads me, and that started that. And I can't even remember what your question was, but this particular song started with a title, then it started with a little groove I was doing and this chorus melody, and then it started taking more and more shape.
Yeah, I mean the question was basically what's first, the chicken or the egg? You know, is it
Right.
is it the words or is it the tune? I mean, when I've wrote stuff before, because I've been performing for like 20 odd years, I'm coming to the end of my road. I'm retiring at the end of this year to concentrate more on media. But never had anything published, but I just sing it live. But I tend to think of some catch. I'll hear someone on a radio, a hook or a line, and then go right, and then sit on it for like 2 years, and then go, okay, let's build this, and then I look at a melody, and then alter the sort of lyric to the melody because you think, oh, hang on a minute, the phrasing's not right for that. So I might do things a little bit cack-handedly, as they say over here, a little bit about way. But I have heard different people say different things. One really well-known singer-songwriter said if he gets a brain block, he goes to Walmart all afternoon and people watches, to get inspiration. So that's interesting. People do what people do.
Yep. Do what people do. For sure. I mean, I love it when the melody and the lyric really just starts happening together. In particular for this song, once I started singing that chorus, I was already directed with music and lyrics as to where it was going. Sometimes it's just a bunch of words, and then you have to find music to kind of fit them. And then, I've always been sort of a phrasing person. I mean, every writer is. So I shouldn't say that, but phrasing is key to me. And sometimes I can phrase a word that would not make sense if you were talking it. But if the melody is doing something for me, I will make it work. So sometimes, like you were saying, it's sometimes the music starts something. I've definitely written some songs where I have a groove, I have a melody, and I hear it, and I'm like, what does that feel like? What does that sound like? And I'll pull out my book and look at all these titles. If nothing does that there, I just keep playing around. And if nothing still comes, I just store it and wait until I want to pull it back out. But if something lands on it, I usually try to follow my first instincts on it and then decide if it's worth even writing or not. Usually I try to finish it regardless, just for the exercise of doing it, because I find that it takes a lot of, it's not that I find this, I was given this great piece of wisdom when I first moved to Nashville early on, and it was like, if you don't keep your pencil sharp, you won't be ready for when the great ideas come along.
Oh, wow.
So you keep doing it and you keep doing it. Lots of good songs. And then sometimes you get the great ones.
And the great ones have come your way as well. Single White Female.
Thank you.
Hello. One of my favorite songs.
Thank you.
And I mean, how did that come about?
That started from a title.
Yeah.
So, my girlfriend Shay and I had a standing appointment. We wrote every week. Some days we got something, some days we didn't, but we just had a great connection as co-writers. So that particular day, she called me on the phone and said, I've got a great idea. Think about this. And she told it to me on the phone. And I remember thinking, okay, how are we going to write that? How are we going to do that? And as I was coming into the writing appointment, driving, one of those things where it's like single white female. I started with this melody and this groove. I had this groove in my head, so I sat down and I had to find it on the guitar because I could hear it in my head. And it was just kind of the beginning of the whole thing. So we went with that groove and that vibe, and actually had a really good time writing that song, because back then people were putting ads in newspapers. They were not using the internet for dating sites, right? So you had people doing the classifieds or whatever to find somebody to date. It's almost like, I think that probably some people today would be like, really? People put that in newspapers? But yeah, I mean, and really, I'm kind of like, really? We do it online? It's all of that. But we actually pulled out a newspaper to look at a real ad, just to kind of like, help us collage and brainstorm in our whole thing. And Shay is a great lyricist, and like I said, I'm a phraser, and I'll find ways to put words on things. So that song has got a lot of little funky little phrases in it. And there was this book that I had read. We were talking about what would we want in a man, and really ultimately it's like a one woman man who doesn't want no other. That's like one of the lines in there. And there was this book that I had read many times over. I've given it to a lot of people. It's a very inspiring book. And it was always a short read. It was like 3 pages of a bunch of stuff. And then at the very end, it would say, in a nutshell, and it would have this little picture of a nut with a face on it. And it would have like 3 or 4 lines to summarize those 3 or 4 pages. So when we wrote that chorus, to summarize everything we were asking for and the person we were looking for, I said, to put it in a nutshell, which kind of rhymed with single white female. And that ended up being kind of like, it was such a quirky line, but it was a line that a lot of people talked about. And then when we ended up having our #1 party, somebody brought a big like shell, like a big nut thing for it, just because it was such a funny line in the song. But it made sense. It's like, to put it in a nutshell, this is what I want. So we had a great time writing that song that day. And I played it at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, which is a very famous place to play as a songwriter. I debuted it there. And I got great response out of it. Everybody's cheering. And then after the show, this guy came up to me and said, "So, are you a single white female?" And I was like, "No, it's just a song."
I tell you what, credit to the guy. He took his chance, didn't he? He took his
He did. He was very, very sweet, but I was like, but really, I was actually single at the time, and I wrote like a ton of songs about being single. So, um, I just, I just wasn't exactly looking for anything at that time. He was very sweet. He kind of did it in a joking way.
yeah,
He did it
yeah.
in a cool way. It's like, "So, are you a single white female?" And but it was a great night. I remember getting good response, and we did pitch it to the Dixie Chicks first. I know that my publisher went running to them, and
Oh wow.
their team passed on it. I don't know if they ever got to hear it or not.
That happens a
They
lot, doesn't it? That really does that from other singer-songwriters that I've spoke to, but that happens a hell of a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You got to get past the gatekeeper before the artist even, you know.
They kind of, they get so many songs. They don't want to bombard the artist with so much either. And the artists are trying to, you're pitching to managers, producers, A&R people, label heads, lawyers, anybody who's related to them. And I've been in that hot seat as well. So people are trying to screen as best as they can, and if it doesn't do anything for them, or maybe they know that they've already got all their up tempos and they're looking for one last ballad. So you never exactly know why it's a no for somebody, but we did pitch it to them, and then the very next pitch was for Shelley Wright. She was the second pitch, and it was the right home, the right person. It was meant to be, and that was an amazing time in my life.
I remember the video really on CMT because CMT was over here very, very prominent in the 90s and stuff. And that's what got a lot of us involved. It was the big thing, satellite television for the first time over here. And then everyone's going, what's this CMTV? Wow, and everybody just clambering to watch it. And I remember that. And is it see what cowboy hats? Is that the other one that she had? The C yeah, it's something like
Shelley?
yeah, I'm sure. Did she have that sea white
I don't
card?
know if she did. She had a sticker on the back of my SUV. She had it was
Yeah,
gosh, I should remember all of her songs because I loved Shelley as well, and I still do.
yeah.
Um, but
But yeah, I mean, the doors must have opened up very quickly for you there as well. Once you've had that, I mean, what happened after that?
well, that helped me when I went and launched my own artist career. I already had a record deal actually at the time. Um, so, and I was out with Martina singing backgrounds and stuff with her on the road. So
What
all of
year was
those
that?
things helped for me having credibility when I went out to launch as an artist myself. Um, my publisher really wanted to pitch that song. That's why I didn't hang on to it. And I already had another song that I absolutely loved that was going on my record. So that's why I let that one go. A lot of people have asked me, like, why'd you let Single White Female go? And I was like, I really didn't feel like I could have two single about like literally looking for someone songs on my record. I already had this other one that was supposed to be part of the record and everything. And I loved Single White Female, but I was excited about the possibility of it getting cut, and it did. So yeah. I don't know what your question was again about that one.
It's all right. At least you're honest.
I
Um,
have a million stories, so it's hard sometimes because
I
I
know.
have a great Shelley Wright story. Do you want me to tell you that before we go anywhere?
If you want to, that's absolutely fine.
Let me tell you this one. So we heard that she was recording the song on this particular Friday. So my publisher was calling her record company, their friends over there, and asking, did she cut the song? Did she cut the song? And we kept getting, no, we don't know. We don't know. A lot of times an artist will take a bunch of songs into the studio. They might take 10 songs in and only get to 5 or 6. So when you hear your songs going in, you're hoping that you're in the first batch because they might not get to it later. And so if they don't get to it later, they might not get to it the next session either because something else might come in that bumps it out. So you always are like biting your nails. Anyway, we didn't get an answer that day, but that night I went to dinner with my friend Rose. And after we were finished, we were standing outside by my car and we're saying goodbye. We're like, okay, see you later, this, that, whatever. And I hear the music of my song, Single White Female, in the parking lot. I know it's my song because I had that hook on the front of it. Dum dum da da dum dum da da dum dum da 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 dum. And so I was like, Rose, that's my song. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I can hear my song. And I literally bolt across the parking lot over to this vehicle where they're just jamming in there. There's 3 people in there and it's cranked. And so I know it's my song. I know it's Shelly. I've never met her before. And I'm standing on the driver's side of the vehicle, just like super goofy, like, and kind of embarrassing. I hear her lock the door, click. She turns into her friends, and I can tell that I freaked her out. So I'm thinking really quick, okay, do I just go away? Or should I actually meet her at this moment in time? I've obviously like made her a little bit unnerved. And I just made a quick decision, like seize the moment, just do it. And so I was like, excuse me, I wrote that song. And she's like, what? And she unrolls her window like just a teeny tiny bit. She's like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Carolyn Dawn Johnson and I wrote that song. She's like, oh my goodness, get in here. She unlocks the door.
Oh, wow.
Rose and I hop in with her friend in the back. And she's like, we just cut this song today. I'm so excited. It's going to be the first single. And I think it's going to go number 1. I'm going to claim it right now. It's going number 1. And she played it for us and it was so amazing. Her scratch vocal had that energy that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
She loved it. The band loved it. It had a magic to it. And she called it and it absolutely went number 1. So that was a story that we have told for like 20 some years, but it's all true. She'll tell you the same.
Oh no, absolutely. And that's great. That's a meant to be kind of thing right there, isn't it?
It really was.
Oh, fantastic. So obviously progressed right through, toured with so many people as well. So with Martina, what years was that? Were you backing vocals for Martina?
I've done that for her off and on for 24 years, believe it or not. So I started with her in 99. Like I said, I had a record deal and I got called in by Paul Worley, her producer, who was also working on my record. And he asked me to sing background vocals on her song, I Love You. Do you remember that one?
Yep.
And I'm in so totally wrapped up.
I'm a huge fan. Huge fan.
Totally wrapped up. I'm doing all the high stuff. So I was in there singing on that and she came in about halfway through and pushed the talk back button and said, hey, you want to come out on the road with me? So eventually, a couple weeks later, because Paul was like, I already told you have a record deal and we're starting a record and, it's too late. And I was like, wait, that would be amazing to do that. But a couple of weeks later, he called me and said, Martina's actually serious. Like I know we're making the record, but she said you could just come out even part-time if you wanted. Why don't you give her a call? So I called her and she said, I know you're doing this and that. Come on out. I'll show you the ropes. Kind of thing. And I went to my label and my management and they said, that would be like amazing experience. So I went out with her and then ended up staying for, it took probably over a year. It was about a year and a half. I was out with her for us to make the record and get it ready to launch. So I worked with her back in 99, 2000. Then I worked with her again, like 2012, 13. And in between that, sometimes I would do like, she might say, hey, do you want to come sing on this TV show with me or whatever? So I've done a few pieces here and there. And then I went back out with her recently. I guess it was 2021, 2, 3. And I'm still out with her sometimes right now. If I'm not doing me, I'm out with her. and she's like home to me. So I love her.
Sweet. She's so
Her
lovely.
organization.
I saw her. That's the reason why I was asking. I saw her in '94 over here when she was supporting Garth. Well, obviously, her husband was Garth's tour manager, wasn't he? And
Yes.
is it John? And
Sound.
yeah, and she broke down and cried because we are all singing Independence Day with her, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And apparently, she stayed for hours afterwards signing, and then our country to country festival that we have here every March. One of the first couple, I think probably the second or the third one, she was on the legend spot there and just basically knocked it out the park as she normally does anyway. And but yeah, that's the reason why I was asking about you. I thought, I wonder if you was there then, but obviously not. Um, but again, you've had a really big career, and obviously the new record now. And then more of the album coming out in tranches, or is it just going to be poof, a full album?
We'll do this song, then I'll probably trick out a couple other things, and then we'll put the whole album out. So I imagine it'll be out by the end of the first quarter, if not February.
And then touring wise, are you? I mean,
I
on the
really want to tour it, so that's the plan. We've got discussions going on how that's going to go, where we're going to go, and what. I would love to get over there. Tell me what to do, and I'll
well,
come over there.
I'm in negotiation. I am chatting. Honestly, I am chatting now with somebody over here who's a really good tour manager. With a lot of the British acts over here and a couple of Americans, and she's just been over to Nashville as well. With one of the major singers, and I'm chatting with them to see whether we can get a bridge forged and do a swap over, do an
That would
exchange.
be nice.
You know, and it would. I mean, I'd love to see more Canadians over here. I mean, I have we have a couple coming over here, and I was with a festival with one of the guys called Aaron Goodvin. I don't know if you know Aaron.
Yeah, I know Aaron. I've written with Aaron. Aaron's great.
Oh man, I mean, I've spoke to him so many times on Zoom, and then he played in a festival about 30 miles from where I live. I live near Liverpool, like, but we went there back in May, June, something like that. And we just had the best time. We had such a laugh having a coffee afterwards because basically we were there for the full weekend. We were camping there in the luxury log cabins and just hung out with him and just yeah, it was just brilliant to see him firsthand and became good friends. So yeah, it's all good. And I've met so many Canadian artists like doing the Zoom through Strut Entertainment. A big shout out for them again. That it really, I know, I really want to get over there again and get you guys over here as well.
Well, that sounds like a good plan to me.
I want to say, Carolyn, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure and good luck with everything. Great singer. Like I said, you're going to get right high in the charts with that and obviously the album to come in due course.
Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate you having me. You have an amazing day.